Michael Hernandez here, MLH Media, and we are back today. I cannot wait to get into this one, man. Always a fun guest to have on the program. Jackson Huncho Hemauer, one of the, I would say top prospects in terms of potential and who he has been just training with and getting on the mats with. My man, Jackson Hemauer, how's it going today, brother?
Good, brother. Good to see you.
It's always a great pleasure to get to see you. Last time I got to see you, we were out over there partying out in the streets of San Jose like wild animals, man, just having a grand old time. How has everything been since then? And Jordan Newman, he even had his fight over there at Bellator in the meantime. We've been due for this.
Yeah. My teammate Jordan Newman just got a huge win for Bellator. I believe he's 7-0 now. I think 6 or 7-0 with the promotion. So this was his kind of first real big step up in competition, and he smashed and really showed everyone that he's a pretty high level striker on top of a wrestler, and yeah, trying to follow in his footsteps, no doubt.
I actually got to watch Jordan's fight compared to a lot of the other fights on that Bellator card. It was a pretty busy day for MMA that whole weekend. They had the A1 card on September 6th, September 7th, then they had that card over there in Bellator in San Diego. And watching Jordan fight, everyone was saying USA versus Russia, right? I think there's even some chance of USA going on in the crowd that day.
I love that shit.
It was, and I'm pretty sure you're very familiar with that, being in the wrestling scene, having that kind of dynamic. But can you kind of go into it, like how it is as an American wrestler to, do you as a fighter kind of play into that now that you're going into the MMA scene, or is it kind of all love? Or I know you said you're a big fan of that patriotism there.
Yeah, I love it. I think my take on it is there's been a lot of American wrestlers that have came into the sport of MMA that have been successful without using a ton of their wrestling. So I think like guys like Tyron Woodley, Michael Chandler, guys like that, it's like you don't think of them as a wrestler first because they are so well-rounded. And frankly, we just haven't seen that many American high-level wrestlers, make that transition to MMA. Whereas now there's definitely a big surgence in that. And I take pride in being, from the best country in the world. I think, we grew up wrestling. The biggest, accomplishment we could get would be to represent our country, at the Worlds or the Olympics. So we naturally kind of grow up with that, homeland pride in America. And, just anytime you talk to anyone about wrestling and MMA, they think of the Russians right away, and I think that constantly being like, that stigma that, if you're, the Russians dominate wrestling in MMA, and that alone kind of is a little unsettling because I just know that we're just as good or better than Russia every year. And the big thing that I'm excited to see for the future of American wrestlers is that we're much well-rounded compared to them, much more well-rounded. By far. Even just my training partner Jordan's fight, the guy took some really hard shots on him, realized Jordan wasn't going for it, and it turned into a striking match, and then Jordan, had the advantage there. So I'm really excited to be a part of that movement and kind of reshape that narrative a little bit for sure.
And you're part of that team over there at Rufus Sport that has seen, the pedigree of strikers that have came out of that camp does not even need to be discussed. We've seen the Pettis brothers come out of there. We've seen so many talented athletes go through with, and it's so crazy because, you often talk about California, you talk about the Floridas, you talk about even the New Yorks and Texas of the world, but you don't talk about Wisconsin being that MMA kind of hub. But there's slowly been gyms that have been popping up in that area. Rufus Sport has been a gym, and then overall just Midwest MMA has been kind of garnering a big push as well. Can you kind of go into that decision to want to go back to your original home state and get some work in with those guys over there at Rufus Sport?
Yeah, it was a tough decision. Let me see. This is like a year and a few months ago to move back to Wisconsin. Part of it, my little brother was starting his college career back here in the Milwaukee area for UW Parkside. So that was big for me to be around for that. But yeah, man, my time at Rufus Sport was incredible. I love Coach Duke, Coach Cushman. The way that they approach striking was very similar to the way that a lot of my high-level wrestling coaches attacked wrestling. You know, they first off, they just love it at a high level. They're very passionate about it, and they're super realistic. They're able to, you know, there's no sugarcoating anything. They're very serious about, you know, the standard that they want to set. And that's something that resonated with me a lot. And yeah, like you said, the list goes on and on of people that have been through Duke's gym. And, you know, like I said, like as a wrestler, I don't want to go into, you know, my career being just known as a wrestler that wrestles in MMA. You know, I want to be a full martial artist. And Duke loves working with wrestlers. He loves the mindset that we bring. And I think that's more so anything, the biggest advantage that wrestling gives us is that we understand how to train. We understand how to be coachable, all of those things. So that combo of, you know, me desiring a high level striking coach and Duke, you know, being there and being ready to, you know, give all the tips and all the coaching that he could to me. It was great. I think my striking improved a ton while I was there, especially training with Jordan. That was a huge advantage for me. I'm moving back to California now, so I'm excited about that. I love California. I think it's just where I'm supposed to be. But anytime I'm home, I'm really glad that I have the opportunity to go back into Rufus Sport and make that kind of my Wisconsin gym. Keep my Wisconsin roots for sure.
Yeah, keep the dairy in the roots, keep the cheese in the roots, you know, keep the yellow in there. Something about yellow in Wisconsin. Is it just a thing over there? Is it the cheese? Why exactly is the infatuation with yellow? You got Green Bay over there is yellow, Rufus Sports yellow. I just noticed that. Can you kind of explain it to me a little bit? A Wisconsin native yourself?
I don't know. We're the cheese state for sure. We're the cheese state, so that's probably a big part of it. But yeah, we always got the Packers, you know, holding us down. Everybody knows about the Packers. Normally they don't like us because we're always beating them, but yeah.
I just don't like you guys because you stole my running back. I'm gonna be honest. So I'm a Raiders fan, so you guys stole my running back. No longer got Josh Jacobs. You guys got Jordan Love over there, so always be cheering on the Packers in terms of, you know, they're just one of those original franchises. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You can't hate on them. The only team that maybe can is the Bears or other teams in the division.
Vikings suck every year, so they're irrelevant. Hey, but the Raiders took my guy Devontae Adams, the Fresno State Bulldog, and a big Packer guy. So you guys got one back on me for sure.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, now it's I guess we can call it even there.
Call it even.
As the fans would say, man. That's actually kind of crazy. Devontae Adams, former Fresno State. I mean, Fresno State Bulldog. Then you got Derek Carr, another former Fresno State Bulldog. Now it's tearing it up over there in New Orleans. But let's talk a little bit about speaking about Fresno State. You just transitioned to the next question. Big news over there on their front, moving over there to the Pac-12. I know you were a part of that wrestling program when it did get dismissed, and that was a big bummer for the Central Valley. A lot of fans, a lot of people were attending those events. I believe they're some of the most highly sold sporting events over there for Fresno State at the time. Not only that, but you guys had some stars on that team. Now looking back, some guys that are now going on to some green pastures and looking to go into possibly some MMA. I mean, Jace Luchow just made his debut over there at 559 fights this past weekend. What are your thoughts about Fresno State joining that Pac-12 and the possibility maybe another program being thrown in there? I'm not saying wrestling, but, you know, always that possibility of being thrown in there now that they're going to be joining a little bit of a bigger division?
Yeah, I love it. You know, I love seeing the school get that opportunity. I think that's really, really big for the whole valley. I think that there's a lot of talent in the valley across the board, whether it's wrestling or baseball, football. We had a ton of talent coming out of there, and they were always very prideful in keeping our guys home. You know, we had a really, especially the wrestling team, and we had, I want to say 75% of our team was from Fresno. And as well as the other sports, everyone had a big motivation to, support the Valley. And yeah, that big platform is nothing but good for the whole program. And yeah, I'm really excited to see the stars that we had on that team make that same transition that I'm doing over into MMA, just to really showcase, the talent that we had, because there was a lot. And there's not a lot of avenues for wrestlers to stay in the sport and keep their name out there. So the fact that we got so many of those Fresno State athletes that are those wrestlers that are making that transition to MMA, I think is super exciting. They're going to keep hearing about all of us. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where everybody else goes.
Yeah, and with the addition of, I mean, like how you said that you guys are a little bit before that NIL kind of era, but now they're having the NIL be brought in, and I mean, Sacramento State, they're doing some big things over there. Combat University, they're having like the first MMA program backed actually by the California State University system, so that's huge, obviously, booster and getting a lot of funds over there for that program. So there's a little bit more opportunities now that the sport of MMA is growing on the world. But it, like how you said, for a lot of you guys, when you guys were first beginning those wrestling careers, it's so crazy now that a lot of those guys were maybe first beginning in 2020 to see how fast and how far MMA has now gone. But to speak a little bit more about actually your path and what you're looking to possibly be getting into in the future. Fight Night at the Tech, May 18, 2024, we were able to earn a split decision over Gavin Allen. And they just announced the return over there to the Tech CU Arena for December. Is there a possibility that we are going to see Huncho make his return on that card, or is there a possibility that we may be seeing him a little bit sooner?
Possibly, we'll see. That opportunity was given to me through my my old management group with Iridium, and I've gone a different direction. I'm now signed with TNT, so we'll see. Maybe I love the promotion. It was a incredible promotion. Scott Coker and Gilbert put on an incredible show. So yeah, I would love to go fight for them again. That would be really cool. At this phase, we're really just looking for the right opportunity and the right matchup for the time. I'm still getting my feet wet, and I don't want to rush into anything too crazy. So really, we're just taking it kind of month by month and waiting for the right matchups and the right situations so that I can continue to grow my comfortability in the cage, whether it's wrestling or striking or really just putting it all together. So we got a couple different opportunities lined up, so we should have I should have an announcement pretty soon here about where my next fight's going to be. So excited for that.
Are we staying in the state of California? Is there a possibility we're going a little bit domestic? We're possibly traveling in the U.S. a little bit.
We've had talks with a bunch of different promotions that really want me to fight for them, and hopefully I can find a good situation that's in California, so that I can, hopefully have some fans in the seats. And yeah, like I said, right now we're keeping all opportunities on the table because wherever we got to go, to get the right situation, and that's what we're really focused on. And the plan is moving, 2 or 3 local fights, where I can get a decent matchup and showcase my striking and my abilities to be an all-around MMA fighter. And then from there, move on to one of the bigger promotions, most likely LFA or Fury or one of those. Then at that point, we'll be going wherever they can find us a good fight. They're all over the country. So I'd like to see LFA stop over in Wisconsin and Milwaukee sometime. That'd be pretty cool. I've always thought about that. There's Anthony Pettis has a really good show, APFC, that he's been putting on. It's been growing quite a bit. So that's another option that I might work into that organization. But yeah, like I said, we're just, waiting for the right opportunities and, wanting to make sure that I'm comfortable at every stage. I'm only 1-0 right now. So getting a couple more fights under my belt before jumping into kind of one of those bigger pools. And then, just trying to keep this thing rolling with getting good dominant wins.
And the last of the 90s babies too. So I believe you're still 25 there, right? So, it's still a lot of time to go ahead and determine a little bit more of that path of where you were wanting to go, whether it be LFA, Fury, APFC, so on and so forth. But speaking about LFA a little bit, you actually have a teammate of yours on that TNT sports management team over there, Jake Woodley. I mean, obviously, I would be remiss if I did not bring up that Oklahoma wrestling career. Very accomplished in his time over there. I believe a 2-time All-American. How was it like to get to train with, a like-minded individual in terms of you guys are both pretty dang good wrestlers, and now on top of that, you guys are developing the striking game as well.
Yeah, that was Jake's one of my best friends. When I was out in California, we were living together and going through our first year of training together, and so being back in California with him has been huge. That's my guy. And he actually went to college with our manager, Justin Thomas. So they wrestled together at Oklahoma. So now I really feel like I'm in a situation where I'm surrounded by, my really true core people, where I have a lot of faith and confidence in them, and they have the, same amount of confidence and desire to build me. He went into his career, went straight pro. So he's 4-0 now, 1-0 in the LFA circuit. We're back together training in California, working with Antonio McKee over at Body Shop, and that's been incredible. He's got an incredible amount of knowledge and passion for the sport that really just clicked really well when we started working together. So we're super excited about the situation we're in, and trying to follow in, Jake's footsteps, get a couple more wins, and then hop into the LFA circuit, and Jake and Jack start taking the MMA world by storm.
100%. And I like possibly mentioning the likes of Bellator. Jordan Newman over there. You got Josh Hokett, another one of your teammates over there, TNT Sports Management. Any chance that we get to see you on one of those Bellator cards? I know they love to hit the San Diego area. That's pretty near you over there in Orange County. Maybe the possibility of flying over there overseas. I know some fighters have their thoughts about going overseas and taking a bout, but is there any chance we'd get to see you fighting over there for the Bellator organization?
Potentially. We kind of have the mindset right now. UFC is definitely our front runner. We definitely want to have all our focus on making it to the UFC. That was always Duke's big thing, and Antonio's got the same mindset that he thinks that we can be pretty big stars in the UFC. So that's definitely our first option. We had another one of our teammates that we train with, Lazaro Daron, Cuban wrestler that also had some ties to Oklahoma wrestling. And him along with Juanse Mejias. Those two are both with us at Body Shop. So we got a pretty core group of guys that are wrestling guys that are, we have a really close relationship through college wrestling that we're all trained together. Lazaro just had his PFL debut against Danny Sabatello and sadly got a draw, which was due to
the
controversial point getting taken from him. So he put on an incredible show. His stock went up a ton. He kind of was a little bit under the radar and was a huge underdog going into that. And I think he really turned some heads there. Really it's just about getting paid, right? I mean, that's why we all, started this journey in the first place, is to, use our wrestling talents and our training mindsets, to translate into MMA to get paid. So the goal is the UFC for sure. It's kind of a UFC or bust type mindset to start. And, if it starts looking like, maybe Bellator, the PFL is a better route for us to get paid, we'll see, but at this point, I definitely see myself getting to the UFC and becoming a big name in the UFC and taking that route. So that's the goal, and that's what we're training for every day. So,
well, let me just say, I know the fight skills for the UFC are definitely pretty high caliber, but if personality has any weighing into the UFC superstar potential, you definitely got a whole lot of that, my man. One of the funniest fighters that we have always on the platform, always a good time to get to speak to you, my man, and gain and work with some of the best gyms over there in California. So not only a humorous guy, but also a killer over there on those mats. Anybody that you wanted to thank in particular? I know you have a lot of people that help and really just donate some knowledge in terms to your MMA career. I mean, you got Tyler Wombles, Duck Rufus, OCRTC. You have so many, gyms that have just been able to kind of contribute to you, and sponsors as well. Anybody that you want to thank in particular in this segment?
Yeah, it's been cool, man. I think this is definitely, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. This is such a good opportunity for myself to, keep growing as an athlete and a martial artist. And like you said, like when we're able to, in MMA, we're able to kind of bring our personalities into it a little bit more. And that's been an absolute blast. I think that's a huge part of the game, and I'm excited about that. But I'd say my biggest mentor at this point is Antonio McKee at my new gym. We really hit it off right away, and he's got a ton of confidence in me to get to that next level and be a star. And he's not a guy that, he's not going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to give it to you straight. And that's the biggest thing that I've looked for in a coach. And he's really invested a ton of energy and time into me and Jake. And I love the relationship that we have and the knowledge that he's able to give us. I mean, he's another guy that's had a ton of high level people go through his system, and the amount that I see us improving every single week that we're training with him, I really know that's my spot. So I'm super excited to keep training under him, training alongside AJ, and just kind of watching how the best go about it, So being around AJ is an incredible amount of motivation. He's a true champion in every aspect. So being in that room and being alongside my guys Jake and Juanse and Lazaro, I think I really couldn't have chalked up a better situation for myself.
AJ McKee, the McKee family, overall just MMA, I would say trailblazers over there, Southern California area, really showing that you could, like how I said, blaze your own path. They've really just kind of gone and ran with that Team Body Shop name, and they've taken it on to a whole new life. I've gotten so many big names over there over the years. So big congratulations to them. And I mean, obviously being able to acquire the skills of guys like you and Jake Woodley to get into the gym, that's also a pretty good marker on their gym going forward as well. Thank you so much for your time today, Jackson. Always a great pleasure and gain to speak with you. Before I get you off of the program, though, I got one question. Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway, they're going at it. UFC 308, probably one of the most highly touted matchups that we have seen in recent UFC history in terms of Ilia's star power and Max Holloway's already just fan presence. Who do you have in that matchup? Who do you have taking it?
Man, Ilya is a scary dude for sure. I mean, it was pretty wild watching him take care of Volkanovski the way he did. But I think Max kind of reminded a lot of people in his last fight with Justin Gaethje. I wanna. My gut says Max, but again, it's a big toss up, and I think I want Max to win. So I'm gonna go with Max, but that's gonna be probably one of the best fights we've seen in quite a long time. So I'm super excited for that one. But I got the dog Max Holloway. I think he's gonna get it done.
How about that co-main event there too? I mean, Whitaker Chimaev. I feel like that's another. I feel like this event, like just the whole aura that has behind it. I know I hate that word now. It's been so played out in 2024 and this 2020, but man, this card really has that potential. I mean, you got Cyril Gane, Alexander Volkov as well in the card. That's another like a really, really good fight that I feel a lot of people are not speaking on. But I mean, Whitaker Chimaev, that's going to be a fight that I think fans are going to look back at a couple years. It's going to be almost relative to that Gilbert Burns and Chimaev fight that we witnessed a couple years ago. But I wanted to hear your thoughts about it.
Yeah, I think I really like Chimaev. I think he's a guy that I got to give him his flowers because, like I was saying, like so a lot of these Russians are pretty one-dimensional, I think, and they're super heavy grapplers. But Chimaev's definitely shown that he's just a straight fucking savage. And he's down just to scrap wherever it goes. And he's always, even if he is grappling, it's explosive and it's exciting. But I think similar to the Max Holloway situation, I think the experience that Whitaker's got, I mean, he's just a road dog, and he's taken, every single big fight and taking it on the chin, and constantly been just that same steady guy that's always taking care of business. I think the time off that Chimaev's had is probably a benefit to Whitaker as well. Staying active is definitely a big part of being ready for these big fights. So I don't know. Not like you said, it's stacking up to be quite a pretty gnarly card. So I'm excited to watch it, but I'd have to take Whitaker in that one too.
Experience plays a long way in this MMA game, and Huncho Hemauer is putting all of his money on those slots. And I think I'm going to have to go with them too. I like Whitaker and Max Holloway in those matchups. I like how you said you got to go with your heart sometimes. And sometimes I think the heart wants what it wants. In the wise words of Selena Gomez. That's the way we're going to end off this call today, my man. Michael Hernandez of MLH Media. And we are going to be signing out over here in the 805 with my guy over there, Jackson Hemauer. Alrighty, brother. You can go ahead.